7 impossible moments, not a single explanation that makes sense. For over a century, marine biologists watched octopuses solve problems they shouldn't be able to solve, carry tools they shouldn't recognize, remember faces without the brain structure for memory. And when researchers put them under sleep monitoring equipment, the color waves looked exactly like dreaming, but that would require consciousness. Stay until number 1. Even the lead researcher said she didn't believe the footage until she saw the neural data. Two-thirds of an octopus's neurons aren't in its brain, they're in its arms. Each arm can taste, touch, and make decisions independently while the central brain coordinates the big picture. It's a distributed intelligence that evolved completely separately from vertebrate cognition. No cortex, no mirror neurons, no parental care to teach behavior. And yet for decades, researchers have documented behaviors that look disturbingly familiar: problem-solving, tool use, recognition, play. Even deception. Tonight, 7 behaviors caught on camera that marine biologists still can't fully explain. And the deeper you go, the stranger it gets. The veined octopus walks across the seafloor carrying 2 coconut shell halves. Not dragging, carrying. It tucks them under its body, lifts itself onto the tips of its arms, and walks bipedally across open sand, one of the most vulnerable positions an octopus can adopt. Minutes later, when a predator approaches, the octopus stops, flips the shells, and reassembles them into a perfect sphere around itself. Portable armor. Dr. Julian Finn from Museum Victoria documented this behavior in 2009 and published it in Current Biology. What stunned researchers wasn't just the tool use, it was the planning. The octopus had to recognize the shells as useful, carry them while exposed and vulnerable, remember them over time and distance, and anticipate the need for shelter later. That's delayed gratification. Researchers have since documented octopuses carrying clam shells, bottle caps, and coconut halves in multiple locations across Indonesia. Each population appears to have discovered the technique independently. But here's the question marine biologists still can't answer. How does an animal with no cultural transmission and no parental teaching develop a behavior this complex? The neural mechanism remains unknown. Jar lids, screw-top pill bottles, filters, lights, tank lids. If it can be opened, an octopus in captivity has probably figured out how to open it. But the 2009 study at the Seattle Aquarium took it further. Researchers placed octopuses inside clear puzzle boxes with latches, levers, and twist locks. The octopuses opened them, not randomly, not through trial and error. They explored the mechanism, identified the latch, and solved it in minutes. Some individuals solved new box designs on the first attempt. That suggests they're not just memorizing sequences, they're building mental models of how mechanisms work. Dr. Jennifer Mather, who has studied octopus cognition for over 30 years, describes it as flexible problem solving. They test hypotheses. But how? Octopuses don't have a prefrontal cortex. They don't have the brain structures we associate with executive function. And yet the behavior looks exactly like reasoning. Researchers still don't know which neural circuits are running the problem-solving process. Aquarium staff know the signs. One octopus squirts a specific keeper every time she walks by. Another reaches out to a particular researcher but ignores everyone else. They recognize individuals not just once, consistently, over weeks, even when staff members wear identical clothing and approach from across the room. In 2010, researchers at the Seattle Aquarium ran a formal experiment. 2 people approached the same octopus daily. One fed it, one poked it with a bristle stick. Within a week, the octopus greeted the feeder and hid from the poker, even when they swapped positions and clothing. That's individual recognition across distance, time, and disguise, but octopuses don't have a visual cortex. They don't have the mammalian brain structures we associate with face recognition. Some researchers hypothesize they're recognizing gait, posture, or whole-body patterns, but no one has isolated the mechanism, and the memory persists, weeks, months. Sometimes across the octopus's entire lifespan. An octopus settles onto a coral reef and vanishes. Its skin matches the texture, pattern, and color of the background in under a second. Researchers have documented octopuses matching checkered floors, striped sand, speckled rock, and multicolor algae beds. Frame-by-frame analysis shows the transformation happens faster than human perception. But here's the paradox: octopuses are colorblind. Their eyes have only one type of photoreceptor. They see in black and white. So how are they matching colors they can't see? Dr. Roger Hanlon and Dr. Lydia Methger at the Marine Biological Laboratory have been investigating this question for over a decade. The leading hypothesis: octopuses have photoreceptors in their skin, not in their eyes, in their arms, mantle, and body. They may be sensing light and color directly through their skin and processing it locally without routing the information through the central brain. But that raises another question. If the skin is doing the seeing, where is the image being processed? Some researchers suggest the skin itself is computing the camouflage pattern, a distributed visual system with no central processor. If true, it would redefine how we think about vision. An octopus repeatedly releases a floating pill bottle, watches it drift across the tank, then jets over and catches it. It does this 20 times in a row. Another octopus bounces a ball off the tank's water jet and catches it in a loop. Another opens and closes a tank valve for 10 minutes with no clear goal. Researchers call it play behavior. The definition proposed by Dr. Jennifer Mather in 1999 requires the behavior to be repeated, voluntary, and done in a relaxed state with no immediate survival benefit. Octopuses meet all the criteria, but play is almost exclusively seen in species with long childhoods and parental care, animals that need to learn social and motor skills. Octopuses are solitary. They have no parents, no siblings, no social structure, and yet they play. Why? Some researchers hypothesize it's a byproduct of their intelligence. A brain capable of flexible problem-solving may naturally experiment when not under threat. Others suggest it's evidence of curiosity or even boredom. But the deeper question remains, does play require consciousness? If octopuses are playing, are they experiencing something subjective? The mimic octopus doesn't just camouflage, it impersonates. When a predator approaches, it transforms. Arms tucked, body flattened, rippling across the sand, it looks exactly like a flatfish. When a different predator appears, it raises 6 arms overhead and walks backward on 2 arms, imitating a venomous lionfish. Threatened by a different species, it streams its arms behind its body and glides like a sea snake. Researchers have documented at least 15 different impersonations, each tailored to the specific threat. Dr. Mark Norman, who first described the species in 2001, called it dynamic mimicry. The octopus selects the disguise based on context. But here's what baffles researchers: it's not just changing color. It's translating its atarmed body plan into the movement patterns of fish, snakes, and jellyfish. That requires a model of another creature's body and motor system. How does an octopus with no mirror neurons and no theory of mind understand what a lionfish looks like from the outside? No one knows. An octopus lies motionless on the tank floor. Its skin is pale. Then suddenly waves of color ripple across its body. Dark brown, bright white, mottled yellow. The patterns match the camouflage it uses while hunting. Then the waves stop. The octopus returns to pale. 2 minutes later, the cycle repeats. In 2021, researchers in Brazil published a landmark study in the journal iScience documenting 2 distinct sleep states in octopuses: quiet sleep and active sleep. During active sleep, the octopuses displayed rapid color changes, eye movements, and muscle twitches. The neural activity recorded during these episodes resembled the patterns seen during waking behavior. It looked exactly like REM sleep, the kind associated with dreaming in mammals. But that would suggest octopuses are processing memories, replaying experiences, maybe even experiencing something subjective while asleep. Dr. Silvia Medeiros, the lead researcher, cautioned that we can't know for certain if octopuses dream, but the data is undeniable. Their brains are doing something during sleep that looks functionally identical to what our brains do when we dream. If an octopus can dream, what does that mean for consciousness? 7 behaviors, 7 unsolved mysteries, everyone documented, everyone reproducible, and everyone pointing to the same uncomfortable conclusion: intelligence doesn't require a centralized brain. Octopuses evolved cognition on a completely separate branch of the tree of life. No cortex, no limbic system, no frontal lobe, and yet they solve problems, use tools, recognize individuals, plan ahead, and maybe even dream. There are 2 paths to intelligence on Earth: the vertebrate path with a centralized brain and hierarchical processing, and the cephalopod path with a distributed nervous system and parallel processing. We only recognize one, which raises a bigger question. If intelligence can evolve twice on the same planet in radically different forms, how many kinds of intelligence are we missing? The next deep-sea dive isn't just about discovering new species. It's about discovering new kinds of minds. If you're fascinated by the mystery of consciousness, hit subscribe. We're covering the strangest animal behaviors ever documented and the science that can't explain them yet.